the most powerful rule in all of finance. So before I get into this, though, let me ask you a question, or ask yourself this question. Would you still continue to go to work if they quit paying you? Probably not. Well, for most people, anyways. And the reason why is we go to work for money. So, what is money? Well, money is what allows us to have freedom and options. So, the more money we have, generally, the more freedom and options we have. Two people, both being equal, go to the grocery store. The person that has a lot more money could generally walk out with better quality food or more food for their family than the person that has less. Same thing, two people going on vacation, right? The person that has a lot more money could generally afford to go on to a nicer place and spend more time there than the person with less. So it probably makes sense to learn how to have more money if we want to have a better quality of life. That's all. So I'm going to share with you what's been called the most powerful rule in all of finance. This concept is so powerful that Albert Einstein called it the eighth wonder of the world. Now, he said people who understand it earn it, and people who don't pay it. But if we don't understand this, guess which side of the rule most people generally end up on? They pay it, right? And it's also been called the banker's rule. Now, if you go and you jump onto Google and type in what are the most profitable companies in all of Canada, pay very close attention to who pops up. It's because they know this rule very well. Okay, so there you are. You go ahead, you trade your time for money, you sacrifice your time away from friends and family to make this cash. And if you do that, don't you think it makes sense to have that cash working in your best interest and not some institution? So the biggest problem that I find is most people are just unaware of this rule. And that's why I'm making this video and a lot of these to put these concepts out there. So let me introduce you to how this concept works. It's called the Rule of 72. And it's what illustrates the power of compound interest. It allows us to estimate how long it takes for our money to double at different interest rates. So if you could learn how to double your money, you'd probably want to know how to do that, right? And if you agree, then just go ahead and grab yourself a calculator and I'll walk you through how to do this. This math is disturbingly simple. It actually remains a secret, and I'm not too sure why it isn't taught or talked about a lot more often. So let's say there's you and there's two friends. You're age 20 and you've been gifted $10,000. But here's the deal with this $10,000. You have to take this $10,000 and invest it, and you have to leave it. Okay. So you got two friends. The first one we're going to call Paranoid Peter. Paranoid Peter is going to take his money and he's going to invest it at 3%. And the reason why is he's kind of scared of the news. He doesn't like volatility, doesn't quite understand investing. He just wants to take the low and slow approach, and there's nothing wrong with that. So Peter's going to go for the safe and secure 3%. Okay. Now, yourself, on the other hand, you're going to put your money into an account that averages 6. You're okay with the volatility, a little bit more ups and downs along the way, but this account averages 6%. You figure I'll take on a bit more. Now, your other friend, you guys call him Nerdy Neil growing up. Nerdy Neil spent a bit of time learning about money and how things work. So Nerdy Neil, he's going to put his money into an account that averages 12. Okay, so based off his research and working with a professional, he knows where he can get those account averages. So now again, I say average because nobody can guarantee you a 12% rate of return, but there is places you can go that average that throughout up and down. Okay, so let's see how our money grows throughout time. So we have the Rule of 72. And here's how it works. So again, there's Peter, yourself, and we got Nerdy Neil. Okay. So what we do is we take our calculator and we put in there 72 and we divide it by 3. So that's the interest rate for Peter. So what that means is it turns out to say 24. And now what's happening is Peter's 10,000 is going to double in 24 years. Now, if he wants to wait for his money to double again, he waits another 24 years. So now he put his cash in and he's made himself $30,000. He didn't have to go to work and get. Okay. So that's how this works. 72 divided by 3 is 24. Okay. So now this is the question I got. Yourself, you've got twice as much interest as Peter. Okay. You started with the same $10,000 and his money turned into $40,000. What do you think your cash turns into with double the interest rate? Right? A lot of people would guess 80,000. Well, I got twice as much interest, so I should get twice as much money in the long run. But that's not how it works. So we're going to do the math. Again, very simple. 72 divided by 6, the answer is 12. So what this means now is your cash is going to double every 12 years. So it's going to go from 10 to 20 to 40 to 80 to 160. Now here you and Peter are at the end of this 48 years, and he's like, hey, what's going on, man? You've got an extra $120,000 in your bank account. That's a pretty big difference. I'm pretty sure you agree that most people wouldn't totally underestimate that the difference between 3 to 6% would amount to that big of a difference, right? Now, here we go. Here's Nerdy Neil. He spent his time learning a little bit about finance and understanding this stuff, and he put his money in an account that averages 12%. Peter's money went to 40, yours went to 160. What do you think that Neil's money is going to grow to? Just guess. So we don't need to guess, though. What we do is we do 72 divided by 12. The answer is 6. So now his money is going to double every 6 years. So check this out. So it's going to go to 20, 40, 80, 160, 320, 640, 1.2 to 2.5 million. That's a huge difference, right? So now have a look at this. Again, all you and your two buddies, the exact same age, right? Had the exact same $10,000, and look at the difference that it made. There's poor Peter sitting over there with 40,000. There's you got 160, 120K up on Peter. And then you guys are looking at Neil like, man, this guy's been on to something reading these books, right? It's crazy because the difference between Neil and Peter is about a $2.5 million mistake or difference from where they decided to put their cash. Now, I don't know about you, but there's not too many of us that can afford to make too many $2.5 million mistakes in our lifetime, right? Pay close attention to this as well, too. How many years did it take for Neil's 10,000 to turn to 20? It was 6 years, right? How many years did it take for Neil's 1.2 to turn to 2.5? Well, that was also 6 years. So if Neil would have missed that last doubling period, he would have missed out on that last jump, right? So when it comes to investing, we have time, money, and rate of return. So this is where it's important that people get started young, understand these concepts, and have money working for them. But it also brings up another point. Compound interest also works against us, right? So this is why when people are, I like to say, let's say they're making $80,000 a year, but they're spending $90,000, they're financing their future. It's costing them a fortune, okay? Because what happens is we'll generally go and we'll borrow money. If you ever pay attention to your credit card, the interest rates are generally north of 12%. Look at the difference that it made when you're investing at 12. Imagine what it does to you when you're owing money north of 12, okay? So this is why it's so crucial. And this here is exactly why Albert Einstein said that people who understand it earn it and people who don't pay it. How do you win the game if you don't know the rules? It's an unfair advantage. So again, this is why I'm making this video so I can put this information out here because I don't believe it's fair that people go around without understanding this. So who do you think would benefit from learning this rule? Right? And don't you think we should have learned this rule in school? So we came out of school, we learned about triangles and squares and how to calculate all this, but we started earning money the moment we left school, but they never really taught us about this compound interest, which I hope is changing in the school system for everybody's sake, because this is insanely simple math, and look at the difference that it makes. And without introducing this concept or sharing this video with friends and family and them not being cognizant or aware of the rule of 72 and compound interest, however can they actually stand a fair chance in life? If you're always borrowing money at high interest rates, and if you do ever have money working for you, it's at low interest rates, it's impossible, right? So that's why I like to say, it's not about how much money you make. It's about what you do with it after it's in your possession that determines your financial future. So again, if you got any questions, hit the link below. There's all sorts of ways to contact me. Thanks for